Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome. Great to see you. John was on time. I was 2 minutes late. So we're going to punish me for that one.
He was clicking away.
Yeah, I was like clicking. I'm like, well, let me give John a minute. I hadn't been thinking. Like last night was Jack show and so much going on, but so I get ahead of myself. But I want to just quickly say hi to my friend Fragga Boom. How you doing there? Great to see you, Dan, as always. Violet, you're always there supporting everybody in CG, retweeting, sending videos out. And your support on my videos has definitely been helping my channel. I've been working hard on the channel. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, Vailned does a great service. I've always seen this person out there promoting all the live streams. Really great work, and it is appreciated.
Yeah, and those pre-recorded videos too. And like sometimes like I'll do a retweet on my video. I post a video. And then sometimes Violet gets more retweets and like likes than mine. I'm like, wow, it's really helping. So super appreciate it. Boston.
Yeah, everything helps 100%. Everybody that goes out there hits like and retweet on these things, or it's all a huge service, and it keeps everybody going. It's great for me, obviously, but this also spreads out very much to all the other creators. We've seen that by the growth of Comicsgate, from people's first campaigns to their second campaigns.
And another thing is there are people looking on the outside of CG, right? John, people that haven't decided they want to join CG yet, customers, fans, pros that are like, kind of like, well, what is this all about? And then when they see how we support each other, it's incredibly welcoming. It's a magnet for
I mean, Comicsgate runs, pretty hot. Is born in the fire of criticisms. A lot of people here are passionate, and sadly, a lot of people want people to tone down their passion. And as long as the passion is pointed in the right direction, I don't agree with that, because I think that it's the passion that keeps the energy here. It's the excitement. Sometimes it's the drama of the things that are going on. But that's why Comicsgate succeeds, and indie comics in general have such a hard time succeeding. It's because there's passionate people here. So it's work.
You know what, John, I've been doing a lot of videos on DC lately, and all the goings on with DC, and I've been doing research because I'm a fan of entertainment business also. So it's kind of something that I'm really get drawn to. And the new CEO of Warner Media, Jason Kilar, I don't know if you knew this or not, was the CEO of Hulu, and one of the guys who started Hulu. So like very entrepreneurial guy, relatively young guy, 49. And he always talks about like directing.
That's how old we are. Young guys are now 49.
Well, it's like, because I figure like, well, he's 50. So I'm like, well, I'm 50. He's 49. I'm like, well, I mean, I want to be doing that. Yeah. He's
just a child.
Yeah, just think, one of these kids. Well, he's not like, So, and he's new media. But what his points about stuff are interesting, because he's like, well, when he's describing like all the changes at Warner Media, not even the DC stuff, laying off 800 people, he's explaining to industry people, he's like, well, we're really concerned about what the customer cares about. So if the customer cares about this quality and like this experience, to what you were just saying, if people don't care, like they're not invested in what we're doing in Comicsgate, exactly, that's what happens where the indies become unknown. There's no energy. There's like 4 people that are aware of it, and you can never get any momentum. So it really, that's where all the success is people caring about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look at Marvel. They throw their cannon right out the window. How can you even pretend to care about the product, the customers that you've been cultivating for decades now, when nothing matters at all? I've had the point that Marvel should return to its legacy numbering, from where all the titles left off, and go that way. At least have one line that is firmly committed to that till the end of time. Like that should be your main line, because that lets new customers go back into comic shops to find these old back issues, because now they matter again. But they don't matter once you start saying it. They don't matter. People eventually believe you.
If you throw out the canon, then when something happens in a story, even the most consequential thing, death of a character, creation of a new character, changing costume, whatever it's going to be. If it doesn't last, then the story was meaningless.
Yeah, just wait for the reboot. I mean, that's basically the way the mainstream superhero comic book industry has been run the last 20 years.
You're the one
30 years.
You're the one who keeps repeating, by the way, like, guys, you got to think about building your own platform. You can get on shows, and you're really generous with your show. You've been really supportive of me. But you remind people, build your own platform. So
step one. Yeah.
You know what? I started building my platform, and then Ethan was generous with me, put me on his show. Other people put me on shows. So I've had some measure of success. I'm not on the six-figure club yet. But I've had some measure of success being on other people's channels and not building my own platform. But then I started building my own platform. I was like, let me build my own platform. So what I started to discover is, in working to build my own platform, first I'm just reading articles, basically word for word, then on pre-made videos. And then I'm doing recorded videos where I'm commenting on the videos, on an article while I'm doing it. One of my most successful ones was me commenting on Cinna Grace's attitude about not being hired for Spider-Man at IDW. And it was interesting because, like, as you do that, I started to develop my own voice while I'm building my own platform. Because, like, there's a lot of different kinds of things I do. There's different perspective that I have. But part of building our own platform is getting our own customer base and interacting with our customers. But also, like, figuring out who you are and, like, what, you want to talk about and what people want to hear you talk about. So that it's been an interesting kind of evolution for me. And I don't do a lot of live streams. I want to do more live streams, but I want it to be my voice, if you know what I mean, and not
like some version of, everyone's going to go their own way and find what works best for them. There's no one way of doing it.
Yeah, and for me, like, I've been wanting to contact you about Graveyard Shift 3, and it was just when I saw you finally announce the fulfillment company, I'm like, oh my God, it's Comicsgate, and it's business, and it's fulfillment. Like, we got to talk about this. So, you know what? Let's do that. I want to say hi to everybody, but there's, guys, thank you so much for joining the stream. Hi to everybody. And I don't want to keep everybody waiting forever. And just want to kind of get into it with John about the fulfillment company. I think it's going to be really good for all of us to know about and think about. Everybody, please do subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. We'll have other cool streams and videos too. So, John, you went and decided to create a fulfillment company that you call Secret Door Fulfillment. Guys, this fulfillment company that John created, there's a link to it in the description. And there's a Word doc or a Google doc that's got more detailed information on it. It's just 3 pages, but it kind of covers everything about it.
Yeah, it gives you enough information. If you think it sounds good, then you can go ahead and contact me. There's an email at the bottom of the document.
Now, you got interested in doing this after doing your own fulfillment on Graveyard Shift 2, is that right?
Yeah. Well, I did my fulfillment this time because last time Mark did it in New Jersey, and I wasn't very involved. So, I flew out there, I signed, I started doing the interior sketches in the book, and then I flew back home. So Mark went through and did most of the fulfillment with a couple of helpers here and there, but it kind of took a little while. And I was just, I'm looking to the future. I'm like, well, how do I speed this up? So I have to bring this in-house in order to figure it out. So I have to know exactly what it is in terms of, stamps.com and how do we ship all these, what's the full process and how many people does it really take to, put everything in bag and boards and the Gemini mailers and, get them to a shipping table, print out the labels and send them out the door. Like, what does all that take? So I had to do it to find out. So that's why I brought everything in house here. And
just sorry to interrupt. How many pieces did you ship of Graveyard Shift 2? Because you shipped Graveyard Shift 2 and the variant covers.
And the Huerta covers. So I think it was probably around 3,500 packages. Wow. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Because I did like 500. It was my first fulfillment on college day, graduation day, which of course is still in demand. And it is intimidating, because my first one was drop shipped through the printer. And it worked out okay, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. It's not as good as when you've got someone like really carefully who knows what they're doing on top of it.
Yeah.
But it is all a little bit scary of like, all right, well, what kind of boxers am I using? People talk about stamps.com.
Mm-hmm.
There are things to learn in this whole process. There's definitely a ramp up.
Yeah, even media mail, there's limitations on what you can send in media mail. In comic books is actually one of the exceptions that they don't want, but that's your regular floppy with advertisements. So part of the key is to keep advertisements out of your book. So if you get your packages, or if they're inspected and they see advertisements, then they can start charging you full rate. So you don't want to have those. Having an ISBN is a little bit of extra insurance. I don't think they're too expensive. I just have Mark grab those for me. I think they're a couple of $100 for like.
Yeah, you can Google it, guys. It's just a couple of $100. Like, how do I get an ISBN number? And then you get the barcodes in the back, and then it becomes an official book that's part of like the whatever it is, EAN book system.
Yeah, so that's extra insurance. But yeah, there's a lot of challenges that come along with it. And look, I couldn't do it. I could do it, but I wouldn't want to do it by myself. That's like the main thing I learned is this is a huge undertaking. Even at 500 copies, it's time that I would definitely rather spend creating. Yeah. In general, I'd rather spend it creating. And that's why I'm like, well, I should make a fulfillment center, because in terms of if I can just bring people in to take care of the mundaneness of it all, then I won't have to worry about it ever again.
And part of it too, John, in terms of doing it effectively and correctly and controlling costs, is having like a regular crew of people that you can call on. So if you're going to be shipping a book every 6 months, you've got one big fulfillment to do. It is kind of hard to keep the flow going, right? I mean, in terms of retaining everyone, but you'll have more efficiencies if you can at least have something like one sizable fulfillment to do every month or something, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, that definitely helped. But I've also told myself, like, in terms of expectations, one, I don't know how many people even care to do fulfillment. So I'm resigned to the fact that, it might not be like this big thing that happens, but it is a infrastructure that's needed. One, for myself, for my own sanity, so that I can keep creating myself and not have to worry about that end of it.
It's a big deal. Guys, if you haven't done fulfillment before, I mean, if you've bought the books and they just come in a box and they're in great shape and they look beautiful, there's an emotional aspect. There's labor involved. There's meticulousness that you have to do. It's almost like painting your house, where it's like, all right, well, this is kind of fun for a couple of hours. And then after, right? And then
that's it. Like, you're excited. That was exactly what I said when I went to Mark's. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of fun for about 2 hours. And then you're like, man, this doesn't end. It keeps going and going and going.
I get little dribs and drabs of in-demand orders. I'm not on a lot of streams. I'm just like nose to the grindstone with making videos. My other business, I have a telemarketing business. That's my daytime thing, B2B business. And then also working on editorial and trying to execute and finish on the mermaids. And, so every now and then we get dribs and drabs of in-demand orders. Those, for me, those are still fun to put in a box. But it really is like, it's awesome to be able to take care of customers. But yeah, it's massive to do the fulfillment.
Yeah.
So I thought that the way you're doing the pricing is very interesting, because and I was surprised that you're doing it in a very affordable way for a publisher. And I'm kind of like, I've published a lot of comics before, with budgets from anywhere from $200 to $20,000 in terms of scale of small things, big things, whatever. So I know my numbers and stuff. I thought your numbers were like very reasonable, and very manageable. So just like,
I think the best rates are the domestic rates for sure. It's $10. It's what we're already prepared to use with Comicsgate, and people have been paying $10 for domestic shipping from day one. So there's no change there. And one point that keeps coming up that I've actually had to deal with is people, they actually approach me and they say, hey, I'd like to use it, but I'm not sure I can afford it. And I'm like, well, you can afford it, because all you have to do is you punch these numbers in for your shipping, and that's it. Your backers are the ones that afford it.
this is almost insane because it's what John is doing. And maybe I can help you with some of the language in a smaller version of the flyer, because I've kind of done some of that kind of work before for my other marketing businesses. But it's like what John is offering is an all-in complete package. So he's including all the supplies, if I'm getting it right, all the labor, all of the shipping cost.
Yep.
So literally all you have to do is direct the copies from your printer, which John doesn't do yet, but to John's fulfillment location. And obviously John needs the data. You give him the data and you give him these agreed upon fees, and you're 100% good to go. John will get it done, and he's basing his reputation on it. And his reputation,
I got nowhere to go.
Yeah, he got nowhere to go, but he'll get it done. Obviously, the more communication in advance of what you're doing with your campaign, whatever, it'll make it smoother to do, and you'll get just a better experience all in all. But this includes the Gemini mailer.
Yep.
It includes any packing material that you'd need. It includes bagging and boarding.
Bags and boards.
Bagging and boarding the comic. A finished package. Tape is on the box the way it needs to be. Everything's addressed the way it needs to be. And he does domestic shipping for you that way, and fulfillment, and international. And international is a scary bitch. I mean, it just is. And what John has done is, and I don't know if you can see it too well on the screen, guys, but again, the link to the fulfillment center doc is in the description. He breaks down like, all right, if it's 0 to 2 pounds, it's going to be like $10 domestic. And then any other U.S. territory like Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, all $10 up to 2 pounds. 2 pounds is a lot of comic.
That is actually
you go
about
up to
the most that you actually want to put into one of these Gemini mailers, by the way, because we can put 3. I break it down there, but we can actually put 3 graveyard shift, and those are like volume 1s. Those are like 60 pages, I believe, a piece, comfortably in that Gemini mailer. And so really about a 2 pound package is really about where you're going to be kind of maxing out at. Now, when we did our last campaign, we also tossed in an extra book, U.S. Assassin.
Oh, yeah.
And that became a 4th book, and it's a thick book. And that's why if you guys ordered that, when you open up your Gemini mailers, the mailer with the U.S. Assassin was actually placed in upside down. So the U.S. Assassin was at top because that was a free book. But we thought because it had become so thick that this book might face some damages. So we wanted to be sure that the other 3 books were going to be protected. So we put the bag and board. But I wouldn't recommend putting in 4 books, like even on Graveyard Shift, the new campaign. So we're not maxing it out like that again. But we do have like the blood bag tier, and it's got 3 books. Because 2 pounds is really the sweet spot. And it's not just for domestic, but also for your international. Because international takes another big jump after you start looking into the 3 pound or above 2 pound range.
Well, I did a book with College of the Dead. I did an art book that originally that format was something that was being fulfilled through the printer, and it's 260 pages, 8.5 by 8.5. And that mother is 2 pounds, like by itself or something. It's heavy. So every time someone orders that as like an add-on, I always do like, get an extra book and it's free shipping. It's like, all right, so there's a flat fee for shipping. But when I have to ship that stuff domestic, that's no problem. But when it's got to ship international, sometimes it adds like $20 to the shipping. So guys, how do you, when you're calculating shipping, almost everybody in Comicsgate has gotten a Gemini mailer because they've backed one of our books. So you can take that Gemini mailer, a sample format book, you bring it, if you don't have a scale, you bring it to the post office. They usually have self-serve scales you can put the books on. You kind of get an understanding what the weight is. Don't F around, with size dimensions. Don't like say, well, it's kind of like really you want to measure it. Because, this isn't about John trying to get rich, not with these numbers. These numbers are just very fair prices. John, this is the thing that surprised me, by the way, about your pricing was I heard you say a couple of times, well, look, if I do it, I'm going to charge more than, whatever Dynamite was charging, or I'm going to charge, more.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at these prices. You're not charging more because you're including supplies and shipping.
I'm charging what it takes to do it right. That's what I'm charging. Let me kind of give you a little bit of the general breakdown on how what that $10, where that goes for domestic. So medium mail, the smallest, lightest package is about $280. A 2-pound package, I think, is around $380. So right there is almost $4. Then you put in
$2.80 which is the lightest, to up to like $3.80.
Yeah, I mean that's really
the cost. There's no discount. That's medium mail.
That's kind of the range that we're working at with comics. So then we have the Gemini mailers. Those have a cost. The bags, the boards, surprisingly, tape for the packages is a very expensive cost. Someone asked if there would be custom tape. We're not against using custom tape, but that would be something that you would have to pay for separately because that would actually be a different price. So
if he shipped,
we can work with you. Like we can order it, but you're going to have to pay for it. So whatever the custom tape people like that Ethan used, whatever they charge, you're going to have to pay for that, and then it'll have to be sent here as well. But we can do it. There's no reason why we couldn't. But you better order a lot of it. I mean, this tape goes quick. And
they do. Yeah, that was my big. If I was going to say my biggest surprise, John, was how many rolls of tape that I went through.
Mm-hmm. It's a huge expense. I mean, over and over again, we went to Walmart. We cleared one. We cleared our local Walmart out of the tape. We had to go to another Walmart. We cleared them out of tape. We went back to this other Walmart, see if they got more. Then we had to go to another town, clear them out of the tape. So we use these little like 60-yard rolls because they're apparently they actually tape very easy. They're not cumbersome like the big tape roller is. So these small little 60-yard rolls go really well. So we're going to be looking to try to find some bulk that we can get for those as well. And then printer ink. So Stamps offers like a thermal printer, which is going to be interesting. I'm going to look into it. It's like a $300 printer or something like that. But it doesn't require ink. So I'm going to look into the cost of like what the label.
Oh, really? I didn't even realize it
actually do. Yeah, because black ink, like we burnt through that as well. It was
wow.
I mean, hundreds of dollars, like no lie, hundreds of dollars in black ink to fulfill our campaign. So we're going to check into doing thermal printer to try to cut down on that cost as well. And then, so basically we're looking at about $650, somewhere in that range. Then we need about a buck to pay everybody, if not $2, because if we were actually in full swing, we did this with about 4 people. If we were in full swing, we'd probably need about 6 to 8. So you'd be looking at $1.50 to $2 just to pay the people to come in and do this stuff. And then whatever's left is basically storage because we're going to hold on to the book. So even after your campaign is done, as people may come up with damages or whatnot, and I write in here, I'm like, we've only kind of experienced like for 2,000 packages, about 20 people needing replacements.
So what you're offering, and I saw that number, and I was kind of surprised, but as I kind of went through it myself, it's really not that bad, even though it's media mail. And most of the errors that I found were that people, a 1 in a million of like a mailing machine ripping a book apart, and they got the book with a green label on it, like, hey, sorry, we destroyed this for you. And the other one was like, the customer gave me a bad address. Just like, what can you do? I mean, stamps.com will see, this is another advantage. And I assume you're doing this too, John, is you're utilizing the software of stamps.com that'll pre-verify some of your mailing. So actually one mail package I have going overseas right now, because I guess they send a request to the people to say, hey, can you check this, make sure your address and all that's good. They actually wrote it was good, but it was they messed up because it said, I guess, UK, like they were from UK, but it actually said on the package UA, and they okayed it anyway. So that's on the way back. And, so we're going to make sure also that there's no return packages, because that shipping, we're going to get billed for shipping anything coming back too. So international, it could be, it's definitely a headache, but that's why we also have it to where domestic, like for the first 20 packages, we're going to take care of just reshipping the domestic. It's not going to cost anybody anything. We're just going to use whatever extra Geminis we got.
whatever extra, provided we have extra books, and you know, it's up to the customer to send us, you know, overship. So, and we ask for, I think it's about 20% overship, just to make sure all damages are good. And then we'll just hold on to whatever we got left.
For 2 months, though,
and we're gonna go through the books, and we're gonna be sure that we pull out like the best copies as well, you know, for your backers. So, you know,
yeah, that's another issue, guys. No matter who you use to print, occasionally there are minor imperfections in some of our books from our printer.
Yeah, they're like even graveyard shift. You know, we had little brown smudges on like Harker's face on the cover of the supplemental on 30, 40 of these. So we took all those aside. We're like, nope, not going to happen. But also, even, you know, just from like when I got my pallet of my books delivered, I had one box had a bang right in it. What do you do? You know, I mean, those books on that corner, you know, they gotta
get burned. And
right
guys,
out.
Yeah, I mean, do not, whatever you do. I mean, if you work with John, great, but do not work with a fulfillment center that hasn't done comics, or like I talked to Mixam. I haven't talked to them in a little while. They printed my books. There was problems that they recently had with another one of our CG brothers recently, and I hope they resolve it properly. I don't want to get into details because I don't want to tell everybody's business, but I assume they'll take care of him. But that said, they were talking about offering fulfillment. They even did fulfillment for one of our guys, a smaller book, and I didn't hear anything bad about it, so it must have gone well. But I'm very reluctant because they sent me some books, and they're packed well, but sometimes there are imperfections in the books. And it's like a comics guy is not looking at these books. And I actually called them, and I'm like, listen, thank God I didn't let you do fulfillment, because I was trying to get them to do it because I really didn't want to do it. I said, because not that you guys are bad people, but you have to understand, people are paying me $25.
Yeah.
People pay $25 for this.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like a $4.99 or a $1.99 thing, plus $10 in domestic shipping, and $20 international. And I have some people like spending $100 on an order, and I'm like, guys, there's no way I can have these people upset. So John offering to put his eye on, or put his guy's eye on checking through the book and
I
deal
will
with
still be involved. I mean, I will just be minimally involved. So I'll go out, I'll be looking at making sure everything's going in the right spot. So I'll be pretty much in the front and the back of the orders. So when orders are first getting started, I'm going to definitely be there to make sure all the tiers and perks, everything, any add-ons, and everything gets accounted for, and everybody's off to the right start. Then I'm going to walk away. Then I'm going to come back. Then I'm going to make sure everything's good.
Yeah, it's oversight. It's management.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I can't let go completely. Like, it's not in my nature to just be like, I'm going to trust everything's going to be okay.
Well, it's just another successful. It's just another successful campaign going out, and we all build. This is how we all kind of get experience too. That's why, like, if there's anything, I'm very confident about what I do in the narrow fields that I'm good at this and I'm good at that. There's like 3 things I think I'm good at. So I'll speak to any of those things. I stay away from the rest of those things, but that's one of the great things with CG too, is relying on each other's kind of expertise. But when you were talking about with the shipping, that I thought was really interesting is you're offering to 20 of 2,000 is really 1%. So you're saying, listen, as long as you provide the overruns, and you need to, because where else is he going to get it from? He'll ship 1% as replacements. Oh, this guy didn't get that address. That guy didn't get that address. And there's no extra billing for it. Not even the shipping. You know, it's just included in the price.
We're going to take care of it. So what are those, that extra $1.50, you know, it's going to taxes.
You just have to be careful with these. Yeah, you'll just have to be careful with. By the way, I was successful with buying some tape off of Amazon, because I did wipe out my local stores pretty much. And I was like, all right, I have enough tape for the next few days, but let me see if I can buy. So I found a case of tape on Amazon that was good quality, that I'll find a link to what it was I bought and send it to you, because it was much more reasonably priced than any of the local suppliers, or whatever that is, whatever those guys are. I forget the name of the company, but in any event, yeah, I'll get you the link to them. But I was very satisfied with them, and it was affordable. So yeah, no, I think it's really cool. So now, one of the big questions I had about this, John, was you can't be filling like, well, it's up to you what you want to touch and what you don't want to touch. How small are you willing to go in terms of orders to fulfill? So if someone has,
One,
look, I've got 200 backers, is that enough?
yeah. If you have 10 backers, we'll take it. Because look, I mean, we're gonna try to scoop up as many people as possible to do this stuff. There's no reason not to do it. $10 for a package is $10 for a package, be it 1 or 1,000. So
Okay.
or 10,000. We'll see. So, but if we get to where we're starting doing like some real business, even the prices, like I want to be able to drop those down. What this is like what it takes to get it going and to make sure that I don't put myself in a hole. So I don't want to lose money by trying to help people out. So
Trevor, thank you. That is exactly what I meant. That company, Uline, they carry everything, but they're not necessarily great in terms of cost once you find other good sources for supplies. But John, that's amazing. So you're willing to take on, like, if people have 50 or 150. So that's particularly useful for someone. Well, it's useful for a lot of people, but for CGers and guys, if you're in CG and people are talking about doing campaigns, even if this doesn't fit you, John is like, he's making a real serious offer here to help people. This is a big help. So if you know people that are from outside the US, like Carlo Rowe is a good example, and I'm sure he has his own plan for fulfillment. He'll be done soon, but he's shipping stuff out of Ireland. So that's going to be really onerous for him. It's going to be very difficult. Even if people are in Canada, like having stuff based shipping out of the US, when John cites it correctly, 85% of our customers are based in the US, And
so that's going to be a big plus for international. I think it'll be a big plus.
Oh, you know what? Like Rob, Replicator Rob.
It's up to them to make up their minds regarding it. But yeah, the larger picture is that if you are international, then you could be charging people $10 for shipping domestic here if you're using my service.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
That's going to let you try to maximize the U.S. audience. All you're going to have to do is when the books are being shipped from your printer, instead of shipping them to you, you ship them to me. That's it. So if you want to have books signed, what I'm actually going to recommend to people is, one, I mean, you can just fly out to Michigan. You can stay out here for a weekend, whatever,
That'd be fun.
and sign, that's fine. But realistically, what people should probably be considering is doing like tip-in sheets. So if I was Carlo Rowe and he wanted to have signed books in the States, you make these tip-in sheets, get the printers to stuff them in. This is what Richard did with the first Jawbreakers.
A tip-in sheet, guys. You could ask your printer, or John, maybe describe it like in total layman's word of like a freaking
they'll
piece
send
of
you a
paper.
blank piece of paper.
There
you can sign it,
so
and then
there'll be like
throw
a
it back
stack
in.
of like blank pieces of paper, and your printer knows how to stick those signed piece of paper into your book, and like he'll get them in there, and then you're just shipping signed books from the printer. So no one has to physically meet.
That is the most practical way of doing it.
My friend Chris Rankowitz, super talented artist, asks, John, can you handle the custom boxes like EVS's Honeycomb?
Sure, we're going to be able to handle everything. What we're asking for is if you have like even Cecil, he's going to have a flask, right? That can't go media mail. So that needs to have its own box. It needs to have its own, we're going to have to get bubble wrap for it. But all we need is, and it's in this description too, we just, for anything that's custom, we need to know what the size is going to be and what the weight is going to be. And then we'll be able to find a box that's going to go around it. What we're going to need for any kind of extra padding, whatnot with it, we'll figure that out as well.
Yeah, guys, just so you're doing the math in your head correctly, it's very normal to charge $10 for domestic shipping. A lot of us do that. And then I charge a flat 20 for international. But look at what you're actually doing for books, and look at John's pricing. Keep in mind, Indiegogo does capture between credit card fees and their fee. I think what is it, John? About 9% of a transaction.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I think it's 6-7% Indiegogo, and the remainder to
Visa
Stripe,
or something.
I think is what it is.
Something like it. So I think for me it wound up being like 9%. So if you charge $10, Indiegogo is going to give you $9.10. John needs to charge you 10, so you may need to charge $11. It never stopped anyone from backing a book. I think Fragaboom, I could be wrong, but I'm just from the top of my head. I think he.
Well, you would keep the shipping the same. You would put that $1 into the actual cost of your production.
Oh yeah, okay. So Yeah, you can bury that into your
Yeah,
cost
shipping
of
shipping
production.
never changed. That's what I'm saying, guys. Everyone has to be sure that we keep shipping separate from our production costs. So
yeah,
no one has to worry about paying out of pocket, because this is what the backers are paying to ensure that they're going to get a good quality product. This is out of their this is their personal delivery to you to say, ship me a good product.
So this is basically you guys being able to guarantee that you're going to keep your promise to your backers to deliver on the shipping, the packing, totally professional, just like Graveyard Shift 2. You see the numbers John's doing on Graveyard Shift 3. Obviously, we all like what we got with Graveyard Shift 2. But this is you guys as publishers keeping your promise to your backers that you're going to deliver your package in a good way.
Yeah, it's just the shipping, production, and all that is on you guys.
Right.
You got to ship it one way or another. So the only difference is, if you ship it yourself, you still pay that media mail rate. You still pay presumably the rate for the Gemini mailers, some bags, some boards. Then you have to actually figure out that you're paying yourself as well for stuffing each one of these, when you should be creating more comics or more content, more product. So you're losing money as you're stuffing these yourself, and eventually you're coming out to maybe $850, $950. Is what it really costs you. So your own true cost may only be like 50 cents.
Yeah, my only reason to do fulfillment on my own is just to understand the dynamics of what the heck it is that I'm actually doing. And that was what the experience that I got from doing my college of day, graduation day fulfillment. Now, also I have inventory sitting here and stuff like that, but it's a really compelling offer. And I like spending a lot of time on stuff like this because it's very interesting to me, but I think it's really important for CG. And I see new talents come in who are great artists. They've got a fan following. They've got very cool ideas. And this is just a way that they never have to think about, well, how am I going to get these books to people after I've been paid, 50 grand, 150 grand, whatever it is. You don't have, like Cecil, for example, doesn't have to think about it. This is great for Kyle when he's ready to ship Starblades too.
Yeah, this is what I wanted somebody else to do, by the way, too. I've mentioned this many a time over the last couple of years. Someone is eventually going to have to go out and make a fulfillment center, that's not going to be able to be canceled, that people are going to be able to go out there and, have a place, because it seems like everything is like on the down low. Like, who's doing your fulfillment? Hush, hush. Who's doing this? Hush, hush. Like, let's just have a fulfillment center where comic skaters can send everything to. And I would have done that, and I would have been happy to have had my books shipped out to wherever.
Yeah, let somebody else do
in the States, and let somebody else do it. And I would have done the same thing. I would say, $10 domestic. Let me put that here. What are 25 Canada, 30 rest of the world? Okay, here you go. And then let the sales fall where they will, because that means I don't have to worry about it from the time it goes to the printer. Like, that's it. My hands are done.
Yeah, you gave it to the printer.
Then it goes to the fulfillment. I'm done.
Even just the luxury of having somebody competent look over the books, because I mean, no exaggeration, I saw every book that went to a backer, and I wound up packing it myself. It was small enough that I could do it, and it wasn't that bad because it wasn't that many books, whatever. But at some point, like, it gets emotional going through every book. It's like, oh damn, this one's damaged. Like, why is the spine bad on this one? And it's like, you put that one aside. You spend like a lot of time doing it.
Yeah, and the printers themselves, I mean, they can actually put like dings like into the covers, and we found a lot of these, and we're just like, what's going on with quality control over there? So I mean, we've thrown out shit tons of books just because of these dings in the covers, and between that and little bends on spines, whatever, we're like, no good. And then sometimes, there's something that goes wrong in the printing. You can see there's like track marks on a cover, Yeah. And it's like, it might be fine if it only ends up in a comic shop. And then it's just like, you choose whether or not you want to buy that copy or not. But when you have to send it to somebody and they don't get that choice, you don't want to do that. So it's got to go.
It's such a discipline being direct to consumer, guys, because we know we could be losing a customer for life. We have no one else to blame. There's no retailer. There's no, Diamond messed this one up. It's us. And we're charging a premium price. So if we don't put something in your hands that makes you happy, Like when you spent that money on that, we know what that means. You're going to look at us sideways. I don't know if he wanted me to say his name or not, but there's a CG guy. He's around a lot. Not the biggest CG guy customer, but whatever. He's a good sized guy. And he chastised me when I sent him my first College of the Dead book because it wasn't in a bag or a board. And I'm really glad that he did, because he emailed me and he's like, you know, Adam, I got this book and it came in okay condition, but not perfect condition. It didn't even come in a bag and a board. And I spent $25 on this. And when I was first shipping the books out, it drop shipped from the printer, College of Dead book 1. And it wasn't, I didn't touch the books. And I talked to them about it, but you couldn't give them enough money to put a comic in a bag and a board. They weren't interested. So I was lucky that he told me he was unhappy, because then I was able to apologize to him and then go and get my ass up and get a bag, get a board, get a perfect copy, and then send this guy a replacement book. And I'm really glad that he complained. I was able to do that. And then he was a backer on my next campaign. But what you guys have to think about too, just is they always say this in businesses: the one customer that complains, the one person that compliments, there's 10 more people behind them who don't open their mouth. So if you get a compliment, that means you're really doing the right thing. But if you get someone who's unhappy, you should freak out as a publisher and think about, you know, how do I take care of these customers? That's one of the things about Ethan Van Sciver that I admire so much is he does know where his money comes from. He knows where his customers come from. He's passionate about his projects and he's passionate about his books. He's passionate about the customer relationship. And he will not let his customers feel like they're not getting their money's worth, whatever it is that he's doing. So if Ethan sells you something for $100, it's worth $200. If he sells you something like the honeycomb box for $200, it's worth $500. That's the way it's going to be. I'm not at that level. I've had the same kind of passion to want to deliver that way. I don't have the same capability just yet, maybe because of scale or whatever it is. But in any event, that value is crucial.
Well,
so John,
you know, we're aiming for, you know, consistency in delivery. You know, all these books, whether they're shipped to the next town over or if they're shipped to the other side of the planet, they're all getting shipped the same. We're not fucking around. Everything's in a Gemini mailer. That's it. Everything's in a bag and board. You know, we've already heard horror stories of fulfillment. The Stealing Solo book, I believe it was, they just put a label on the book and put it in people's mailboxes.
Well, that was a tough situation, and I hope he was able to rectify that ultimately. But that's like when you're not in the business regularly, like as a publisher, and he went and printed with someone that doesn't print comics; they print catalogs. And you know what's just as a quick aside about them, and I don't know World Class, and he's got a very successful channel. I went and looked at the printer's name, and the printer has a lot of great feedback from a lot of people, a lot of testimonials about how wonderful they are. And they look like they have great equipment. They have great pricing on their website, but they don't make comics. They're a catalog printer. So they're used to doing direct mail catalogs. They do junk mail. So there's a quality question of like, well, how well do you have to print junk mail? And then secondly, like, are you sure that these guys understand that they're sending out a collectible when you know something that's supposed to be in perfect condition that's going to be worth more money in the future? Are you sure that your printer understands that? And I don't think his printer, they understood that. And even so, like, they wouldn't be the right printer to go to. If you want to recommend,
then we had Jawbreakers went out, and that went out where whoever did the fulfillment on that took the book and just put it in an envelope, which, you know, a sturdy envelope, which sounds like a good idea. If you're not appreciating the fact that people are paying $25 for this book and they want that extra protection wherever they can get it. But because there was no bag and board on it, my understanding is as it was being shipped, it began to sand off the cover. So again, when you're paying premiums for this stuff, you know, I mean, it's probably scratches, you know, but I mean, it's sanding it. So when you pay $25 for a book, plus, you know, whatever, probably $10 for shipping, again, there has to be a standard, and we're doing it one way. That's it. Gemini mailers out to everybody. Oh, and also to go back to that question from earlier about like if we do custom boxes, we'll send you back like what it will actually cost, because we'll have to dig into it. We'll have to find a supplier for the boxes, know what those costs are going to be, and then we're going to have to put our price back on top of it. But just like these prices, we'll give you one price per package, and then you just set it to those.
Yeah, John is making it really, really easy, guys. And John, I think it's fantastic. I really think it's great that you're doing this. For whatever it's worth, you know, to CG, this has got like my highest endorsement of this is a real resource that could really create a bridge between a creator that can promote his book, who then needs to get it to consumers. It's a big deal to be able to just deliver for people like that.
Yeah, and also I think it's going to take a lot of weight off of creators' shoulders, because like I said, if I wasn't involved with this, I would find somebody else that was doing something like this, and I'd use them. Because again, the moment I send it off to the printer, I can set it and forget it, and I just let it go, and it'll run its course through that system, and everything's great. You know, so
that's neat. And guys, on printers, the only printer I'm recommending right now is Transcontinental Printing in Canada. That's just the way it is. There's been a couple issues with Mixam. I hope things work out with them. I'm not putting them on blast or anything like that, but just because like it's crucial to CG that everything gets, you know, done as needs to get done. So you can find them easily on Google just by typing in Transcontinental Printing, and they're capable of doing tremendous things.
They have a limit, though, I believe.
They have a minimum.
Yeah, like a minimum. So most people probably can't use Transcontinental.
You may have to do like 1,000. I think if you do 1,000, they can do it. You just have to get in touch with them, honestly. I don't know their details and stuff. It's not as easy as like printing 200 digital or something. You're going to have to print probably. I've talked to them a number of times recently, and I don't know how much business they're looking for. All I know is like for what I printed, like 2,200 books with 4 or 5 different covers or whatnot. And they told me that was fine for them. And the pricing was the same as Mixam. But in any event, if you need help with printers, you know, you can hit me up on Twitter. You could ask John or anyone else for recommendations, whatever it is. And hopefully everything works out also with Mixam too. But, you know, in any event, it's a small community. So we're always going to communicate with each other and tell people what's working. But there's one other aspect to this, John. I know I sent you a video about this a couple of months ago. This is phase 1 in fulfillment for Comicsgate. I think it's very secure in Jon Malin's hands. And phase 2 in the future, and this is not being offered now, could be ways that we can consolidate some of our customers' shipments for overseas, maybe even in the future, if customers agree and John was interested, putting more than one book in a box in terms of my book maybe could ship with Replicator's book or whatever. Obviously, people would have to agree, but we have to start somewhere. And if we start somewhere and this works effectively, then yes, if we send 200 pounds in one box to the UK, we can work through a broker. We don't need to. There are people that already do this kind of stuff where they reship in foreign countries to save on shipping and stuff like that. And it's not even slower. It's just cheaper. But we have to be able to first consolidate where we do our fulfillment so that when the workflow is consistent, then we can look at how do we even collaborate all a little bit further and take it a step further. But it has to be through somebody that everybody trusts to really make something like that work. And John would be ideal for that.
Yeah, something like that could be possible. Right now, I mean, we're on year
phase 1. We're baby time. So, it's baby time.
Yeah, we don't want to overcomplicate and start fucking things up. You move too fast, and you know it can all fall apart. So
step uno, but
I describe my business sense as like a big, slow turning ship. I don't make a lot of quick moves. So
yeah, that's why
even launching this, I had to experience it. I had to dig into it. Otherwise I would have just launched it and throw numbers out 6 months ago. But I would have had no clue what the hell I'm doing. So
all of this, everything you describe, it all sounds good. I hopefully there's enough. I'm going to send you my contact on tape, and after that, I think you'll have enough profit margin just to make at least a little bit of money doing this. I want to make sure that you don't. Obviously, you're just not doing it. You're not. But this is going to work. This will work, and it'll help a lot of people, and it's going to bring more energy into CG. Sort of like when Frege came in. Did you feel a shift in the force when Frege came in? I just felt like CG grew 5%. Like the whole, like all of CG, like everything grew. And then it also caused enough of a conflict with some of the wrong people that were focused too much on drama with CG, and they wound up, burning themselves out. And now CG is kind of a healthier organism altogether. But this is that kind of feeling that there's a positive movement in the force. All right, if you have a little bit more time, I'd love to ask you a little bit about Graveyard Shift 3.
I got plenty of time.
All right, thanks, John.
Plenty of time.
Appreciate it. Congratulations on Graveyard Shift 3.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's going well. Yeah, we're trying to get to, my first goal is to get to at least 174,000 in the first 30 days. That would be the full amount that we made in the last campaign, the main campaign of Volume 2, 174.
Got it.
So we hit that. That's definitely a huge victory to make the same amount of money that it took you 60 days in 30 days. So John, loving that idea.
Look at your backer average. You got this game, man. So guys, look at this. Look and learn. Look at John's backer average. So he's got 1,647 backers and 152,000. So it's almost $100 per backer, $100 per backer. And I don't think you're selling a lot of high tier.
Yeah, I think I saw. So I don't know where that shows up, but I think I saw somewhere on there. It said like an average of $90. I think is a backer. Yeah,
I don't see it average, but it's clearly approximately 100 or roughly 10% in there, like 90. That's an excellent average, guys. $100 means you're hitting a good number, and it's very likely to be a profitable campaign. And you're doing it without high tier. There's nothing wrong with high tiers, but your average didn't occur that way. It occurred.
Yeah, the most successful tier is the secret perk that we did. That was for everyone that got on the mailing list. So just so everyone knows, get on the mailing list for Volume 4, even when we do Project Thunder, which will be the next campaign. Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep up this trend, which is we offered a trading card for everyone that got on there, and makes a purchase. But also, if you get the secret perk, you're saving $55 off of the perk we have here. So the perk that's on the main page is $175 perk. That's creator signature tier. It's expensive, we know. 12 people, I think, backed it, something like that. And
creator signature tier, $175.
Yeah, but that's actually the biggest tier because that is the secret perk, which is you can get that same tier for $120. So you save $55.
Oh, really?
You get everything that's in there. So we're gonna keep putting like the special deals in with the mailing list. I think that's a really good idea because it's really great to be able to reach out to, we had 2,060 people on the mailing list by the time we launched our campaign. So I think that's a real good bonus, like an incentive to get people to come in there and do it, because we did the trading card, but I just felt really I wanted to do something a little bit more. So I thought up this creator perk for the secret perk.
So what's going on, guys, is we've all seen the mailing lists going around this year. That's become a big thing ever since Ethan's
Sweetcast. Sweetcast. He was the first one I ever heard of it. Was on
he actually had his own email list that was not even part of Indiegogo's sign up. But it became, because he was doing it just straight through his mailing service that I remember, at least from the first one. I know I signed up for that for Downcast. But it became a very common thing, I think, this year when
everyone's doing them now.
Yeah, with Graveyard Shift 3. And what the mailing list allows us to do is it allows us to collect interest, get people have awareness about our campaigns, but also to, a couple of things. It gets awareness about the campaign in the first place. It gets people to kind of take an action to show their support of their campaign. I'm doing one now for mermaids, epicmermaids.com. My mailing list is 250% bigger than it was for College of the Dead graduation day, which I'm excited to see. I haven't offered an additional perk yet through it. I haven't kind of worked that process through my mind yet. But I think it's fantastic, and I think I ought to be doing it. So I'll have to spend more time on that and figure that out. But the mailing list is great because it helps us to gauge interest. It gets people to take an action. John is taking it to another. Well, you've got the free trading card, And John's taking it to another level where he's using it as a marketing tool, but it's a high level value added where he's like, hey, look, sign up for the secret perk. You're probably going to want this tier anyway.
Yeah.
And
you will find
$50
from here on out, you will find the best deals by signing on these mailing lists. So that's where they're going to be at. If you want a discounted perk and something cool, it will always be in the mailing list, people.
So this is really like your discounted highest end tier, only excluding whatever this graveyard gear is merchandise.
Right.
And stuff. So merchandise is very different than printed matter to deliver, guys. So that's very cool. So you're using it to give the bonus trading card, which won't be available anywhere else as long as people make a purchase, but also to be able to save $50 on the coolest tier in the campaign. I like that a lot. Yeah. All right, I got to be competitive.
And never do the trading card by itself, guys. Be sure because
really
that's what I'm telling people. Like I realized right after I did it, I'm like, how am I going to? Because it's not like there's not a tier that says collect your free trading card. When I marketed it, I just said, hey, get on there, you'll get a free trading card. But
now, I'm going to separate the people that signed up.
I'm going to have to take the email list, and then someone's going to have to go through the email list and then find where they actually back, because you have to back to get it. And then they'll have to match an email with another purchase to find that purchase. And then we're going to know it's that guy. So, again, we got 2,000 people on a mailing list. That can be logistics.
There may be something with the data. Maybe I could help with this, but there may be some way with the data, like to find the people that, let's say you'll have the email addresses of the people who your backers are, and then you'll have a separate list of the people that signed up for the mail-in list. The people that sign up for the mail-in list are entitled to the trading card. The other guys are not. Where you may be able to purge the names of the backers against the people who are the mailing list, and then basically get the people who did not sign up. And the did not sign up would be an exclusion list. And then you can reverse that out of the inclusion list. But then in terms of all your processing and stuff, like then you're going to have like, all right, we're going to do a big batch of the guys that don't get it. It does get complicated.
Yeah, we'll figure.
So you're doing the trading card now.
But that's what I'm saying. So what you should do is you should tell people that you'll have a perk that will have that one card, or you will have it built in with another perk. So when they purchase that perk, you have all their information in one spot. They get that one special card. Real simple. So if you have mailing lists out right now, before you go live with your campaign, let everybody know you're going to have a single perk. That it can be a free perk, but it'll be a single perk.
Can you do a free perk? You can do a free perk?
I think so. I don't see why not.
They may have a
perk
limit.
At 0.
Do they allow? I don't know if they allow that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Interesting. Okay, maybe minimum price. Violet says the secret tier ends in 7 days. Is that true?
That's true. Yeah. So the secret perk was good for the first 30 days of the campaign. So if you have it, guys, go ahead, back it. And if you have backed it, you can always get a second one. There's no limit how many times you guys can back it. So, we're looking to get a little bit of a blowout here in the first 30 days. And that gets me back to like once we pass that 174, we want to get to 200,000 because we have a stretch goal at 200,000 where we're going to add in 10 more pages to the supplemental. But if we hit that point in the first 30 days, we're going to add 20 more pages. So now the supplemental becomes a 60-page book. So we want to hit 200,000. And it looks like we're on track to do that according to Backer Tracker. I looked at it today. It said we should do like 100 or 231. I'm not sure we're going to do that, guys, but I think we'll definitely hit or get real close to 200,000. So, that's really kind of the goal. We get 200,000 in the first 3 days. We're going to throw in 20 more pages into the supplemental. That's a whole other comic.
And you don't usually stay in demand after your full 60 days.
I don't stay in demand at all. Yeah. So when the 60 days on this campaign is up, it's over with.
Excellent. The secret perk thing is very interesting. The trading card thing does have to be figured out. It's a good point. We'll have to experiment a little bit.
It's fine when you only have, a few
a couple of
hundred or something
hundred
like that.
Yeah, but when you have thousands, it is.
Yeah, when you're in the
an
thousands,
issue.
it can be.
And you don't really want to give trading cards to people that other
Mhm.
people were supposed to get it exclusively. It really isn't fair.
Mhm.
All right. So just looking at this, so the entry point when someone now Graveyard Shift 3, is this continuity? Does this continue for the story from Graveyard Shift 2?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The whole thing is really it's aimed to go to volume 6. It will go beyond, but volume 6 is like our first big goal point. We're gonna have like a big showdown there. The next couple of volumes are really gonna build up all these extra characters. The supplementals will be adding to that as well. And we get to volume 6, we'll have a big throwdown. And then by volume 7, Graveyard Shift, the team itself, which is generally Vlad, Lilith Mayhew, Mick Mayhew, Sarah, that won't be the same team. They'll be different characters. So it might be led by Brahm, because by volume 6, we're going to start killing off a lot of people.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Brahm is that guy, by the way, with the
he looks like a Brahm. This guy, right?
Yeah. No, up one.
Oh, sorry.
There you
the
go.
Guy in the middle.
Cigar and the the eye patch. So he may be the leader, or it could be anybody. By the time we get to volume 7, just letting you know, it won't be a static team. It'll be ever changing. So these guys get kind of thrown in here. We meet them, get a feel for them. We'll also be getting a little bit of feel for other characters through the supplemental, which like Genoa, who is the character below that I'm writing, and Rob Willis is drawing. He's so basically talented. Our Hulk / Pit character. Yeah. So, if you like those types of stories, there's going to be plenty of destruction in this book as well. Rob Willis is killing it. And Aaron Elfecci as well. I tend to talk about Rob because I'm very focused on what we're doing. But, Aaron as well. Aaron's doing the main story, 50 pages. He's done the last Jawbreakers books as well. He followed me on Jawbreakers. Now he's following me on Graveyard Shift. So
he's going in the right direction. His work is fantastic, and he's in the Philippines, and he's a really interesting guy. Mm-hmm. I've seen his comments on philosophy and things like that. I'm like, wow, he's a really cool guy.
Yeah,
really thoughtful person.
Also in the supplemental, we got a story about Rob Arnold, the guy who did Replicator. Rob is the one who really discovered Aaron. Replicator is Aaron's first book. So, we got Rob Arnold working with Joe Ball. They're doing a character called Nightwalker, who is basically our kind of Batman type character. If you got volume 2, he's in one panel. You just see his mouth. He's kind of like going to be the middleman between our monster superheroes and then the world of your general superheroes. And then that's what they're going to do. They're going to start combining in the next volumes.
So Robert Kirkman did with Invincible. He kind of pulled in a whole universe of characters, and I thought he did it pretty effectively.
So did Marvel.
But just through one book, but not even with multiples, but just with one book, he had God knows how many characters in there. So you're able to kind of do something similar. So you can have your world introduced through Graveyard Shift.
Yeah, we're trying to make a big universe really quick, and then we're going to kill a lot of it off.
Okay.
But look, I mean, these are going to be characters that a lot of them can continue on, into volume 7, 8, 9, 10, as far as we want to go with this stuff. And a big point here as well is on the tiers. So when we did volume 2, we introduced a blood bag tier.
Yeah.
It offered a reprint of volume 1, then it gave you volume 2 option, or I think it was, and then you had the supplemental. So this time we have the volume 1, volume 2 reprint, which is that one on the far left there. Then you get the volume 3, and then you get the supplemental volume 2. So you have 2 books that are fresh material, but one book is still reprinted material. By the time we get to the next campaign, we're going to have all the reprinted material out of the blood bag tier. And we're going to have 3 books of fresh material. So all of them at least 50 pages. So that's how we're going to keep expanding our universe and not overcrowding Graveyard Shift, not putting too much in that main core book by itself. And you know, then this will be a full, what are 6-7 months of content, basically, if you know, 20 pages per month of a title. So Graveyard Shift will be one big drop of comic book goodness by, you know, multiple different artists and writers. And I'll keep drawing, or I'm sorry, I'll keep writing one story for the supplemental. So 120-page story for each one of these. So I'll still be involved. You know, I'm acting as the publisher at this point as well. So, you know, I'm watching
work.
everything. I'm watching everything.
Yeah, I know what it's like. People will wonder, like, well, what do you do if you're just publishing it? It's like, well, you know, there's a lot. There really is a lot, especially when you start, because you know what you can do, but you have to coordinate with other people, and then other people to, you know, when it's your work and it's your life, even though your creative teams are great and artists and writers work incredibly hard, but they have stuff happen in their life, and this is just their job a lot of times. So, you know, not everybody always, you know, can always, but this is great, can always deliver when they need to deliver, and then you got to kind of juggle stuff. But this is great when you have these ongoing relationships with creators. I was just kind of thinking about this earlier today for me, because I'm still kind of working through the next artist I need for College of the Dead 3, because we lost basically Javier because he comic skates, whatever, scared him away or something like that. But it happens. But in any event, yeah, you can do so much when you have like a couple of different creative teams. Like you can do more pages. You can play around with that. It's not, well, so it's not an anthology per se. Like you'll do a solid 20-page story, which could be its own floppy if it wanted to be. Usually, yeah,
I wouldn't count it as an anthology. People can call it that. It's a collected edition of supplemental material. I mean, that's what the supplemental book will always be. Probably 3 20-page stories is what I'm kind of aiming for. The third book is still a bit of a question mark. I have a couple ideas about what I want to do with it, but I am considering turning that into a full 50-page story as well. I think that might be fun to do, to give a writer and an artist like full 50 pages, go crazy on.
It's an incredible feeling when you take your idea and then you give it to someone else and you see what they come back with, right? What they add to it.
Yeah.
And
look, Mark Polton as well. I want to give credit to him. You know, he's very much involved in figuring out the plots and what we're doing with this stuff. So I don't want to take all the credit by
sure. No, he's a hell of a nice guy. He's been so nice.
Mark is always out there. He's always available, and you know, his contributions to this matter as well. So I just want to be sure I give him some good credit for what he's doing too.
You really seem to be treating the people that work with you and work for you the way that you would have always wanted to be treated.
I'm trying
that vibe. I'm just that vibe of like, I can see why people are like, I'd like to work for John. Like, well, what do I do? I don't, whatever it is.
Look, I'm a little bit of a taskmaster. Like, you know, I mean, I am a business guy. So, well, you need deadlines are important to me, you know, and that's what I do too, is like when I deal with people, I take note. It's one thing I'm pretty good at. I have a terrible memory, but certain things stick. And I always look to see, you know, what they're like when I'm dealing with them, you know, how well they are personably, you know, if they seem like they got a deep-seated hatred for me, I take note of that as well. If they're late, if they're slow, if I actually do hire them from work, even just a random commission or something like that.
Yeah.
I take note. I take note on all this stuff because I need to figure out, I'm trying to build teams here.
Yeah.
It's not just Graveyard Shift, you know, it's 3 books, or what will be 3 full books, but it's also Project Thundar. I want to build that up as quickly as I can as well, to where I am doing 2 big campaigns every year. So in the spring, we'll probably have one, and then in the fall we'll have another, so they don't tread up on each other. But I need people to do that, and I need people that, one, above all, have talent. But if you come off a little bit like a douche or an ass, or, you know, I need people that can work with me, and you know, I'm willing to pay for that.
Yeah, and you can see the whole project is going to be sunk if one person who's producing part of it, like, all you need is one broken link in that chain, and the project's off track.
Yes. So deadlines are very important. Enthusiasm for what you're doing, you know, is probably more important than anything if I haven't hired you already. You know, to actually draw a book. You know, if you're getting commission work or something like that, guys, turn it around, man. Fucking make it killer. And that's something else I find is sometimes, you know, sometimes you pay people to do something and they think, well, it's just John. And it's like it's not their best work. It's like it's like take the money and run. It's like, look, man, I want fucking I want you to fucking win me over without me having to tell you. I want everybody to win me fucking over with their absolute best fucking work every fucking time. And that'll get you hired. That'll get you a job.
That'll be
that'll get you paid too, because my artists are actually getting paid very well. And they stand to make money in these bonuses as well. But
yeah, you're very
guys,
generous with the bonuses.
If there's attitude or if there's delays or if there's any problems with hitting, you know, these deadlines, I take note. I don't reward. I don't reward that behavior at all. So I am a bit of a taskmaster, but look, I'm trying to get the work done here, and I'm trying to get the best. I'm trying to get the best out of the people that I'm working with too.
I'm a taskmaster too that way. And like the things that I do when I'm hiring people is I will pay people usually like you pay people as quickly as you can possibly pay them, for example, as opposed like, so you promise to pay, but if it's a little early, so if their contract says that they're going to get paid when all the work is complete, but you can advance people as you go and you know that makes a difference for somebody, obviously you do little things like that. Net, it doesn't matter in terms of the total amount of money. But it's one of the, what John's describing is not taskmastering. It's not being a taskmaster. It's really just, it's being a professional, being a publisher, because we're responsible. Imagine if you're a creator, you're responsible for your deadline. Now imagine the guy who's responsible for everybody's deadlines, literally everybody's deadlines. That's the publisher. So you're responsible not just for your work, but for everybody's work that you did. And then you get into a tough spot with someone where you love their work and you like the person, or even, more difficult, you like the person, you like their work, and they're going through personal issues. And it's like, well, how do you maintain the relationship, respect the personal issues, still get the book out on time? It's very difficult work to do. But it's really rewarding because, like John's talking about building teams, that's my same attitude. That's why, like, for me, I want to sell a lot of books. I want to do 6 figures. I want to do 7 figures. At the same time, it's as important to me, or even more important to me, to maintain my quality and then maintain consistency with delivering. And it will build over time. College of the Dead, we did 25,000, which for me was the minimum of graduation day, which is like 5 times what we did when the first one came out, which is fantastic. And we've done another 7,000 or whatever after the book closed, just on the stream of In Demand, without me really being on a lot of live streams. And when you're in publishing, as long as you keep your promise, you deliver your project and take care of everybody who worked on the project, and when you do another sequel, the customers come back because they appreciate you. And if you understand your numbers when you're printing and always look carefully at your quotes, you can print extra books. So we printed enough that, I'll have copies that I can offer for College of the Dead 3. And we have actually another cover variant I haven't offered yet that I'm going to do it in a few months, probably as a second chance campaign. We have 500 of those already printed, which is plenty. We can sell more. So it could be a great business, but it is all about building teams, communication, being a taskmaster, but basically having everybody understand, like, look, I'm a taskmaster as much as I'm like the bank. Like, I've got to make sure the check's clear. So I've got to know that the work's going to come in so the whole thing can operate. And your books are really beautiful, John. I love Aaron's work. Yeah, I like a year ago.
Aaron's doing incredible work, man. I mean, people see that trailer, and there's one little shot in that trailer, which is an interior page, and everyone thought it was a double page spread because it was so much going on. It's like werewolves jumping over cars, ripping people out, and I mean, it's like there's a world going on in that panel, but that's all it is. It's a panel on the bottom of a page, probably about that big. And it looks fucking incredible.
He deserves the opportunity. Such a good guy, and he really puts the effort in. I'm assuming he's good with deadlines too.
So far,
yeah, yeah, I know. Fingers crossed. That's we always have to do that. We always have to just hope that nothing goes wrong. But he's very disciplined and no cheats that I've ever seen in any of his work. He always puts in 110% effort. So the blood bag, what is the blood bag has what in it, John?
Well, it's got the collected edition, which is volume 1 and volume 2.
Is that basic collected edition? Is that one book physically?
One book, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, collected.
Okay.
Yeah, well, basically, I could have resold the first volume for $25. I could have resold the second volume for $25, and that'd be $50. But I've already paid for this work. I slap them together into one book, and now I can sell that at $25. So now people save $25 when they're just catching up to what Graveyard Shift is. So there's that. There's a collected edition that's all the back information that you need to have. Then we got volume 3, obviously the newer edition, the new story with Aaron. That's in there as well. Then we have the supplemental, which right now is at 40 pages. That's 20 by myself and Rob Willis, the other 20 by Rob Arnold and Joe Ball. That could be 60 pages if we hit $200,000 within the first 30 days. So
it's a lot of comic for $75.
And a trading card. Yeah. So there's a trading card, I think, in there as well.
Yep. Trading card. Wow. Very cool. And volume 3.
Blood Bag was like the most popular tier, I think, in the last campaign we did. Like a lot of people liked it. Even in the Huerta campaign, a lot of people liked it because it was kind of like, it's everything you kind of needed.
I like the branding of Blood Bag. It's not just like,
that's the only one I like.
Like that. Exclusive.
And we only chose
like
that
every time people should buy at least buy the Blood Bag when you're going to back one of John's campaigns.
Yeah. We only did that because we really recommend that if tier 1 for $25 is volume 3, that you just say it's volume 3. And then as you go up, you say, well, this is volume 3 plus supplemental plus whatever. But eventually you run out of text, so you can't label anything. So that's when I out of necessity, I shorthanded it. I was just like, we'll just call it a blood bag. Blood bag. Boom, there it was. And it did very well. We'll keep it, probably from here to Doomsday. It is a good little name for it. We'll probably keep it at the $75 amount as well. For me, that's it seems like the easy access number. It's not too much. It definitely, we can probably get cheaper at some point when we're doing a blood bag that is, or a version of a blood bag where it's all the reprinted material. But that's the idea. So Blood Bag will have all the new fresh stuff. Then we'll get another tier that'll have all your catch-up material. So anyone that doesn't make it, they'll be able to get in through there. So
I like it. I think it's very cool.
But that's what I'm really excited about is one tier. Like for me, that's groovy, man. One tier with all 3 books, all new material. And I'm really looking forward to getting to that point. And if we hit 200, what was it? 254,000, I think it is. That was the beat the bat stretch goal, where we would beat Sean Gordon Murphy, DC's
253. Beat the bat stretch goal. 253. Celebration. Graveyard Shift will move forward on production for Volume 4 to have materials ready to print by the end of next campaign. This will dramatically shorten delivery time.
Yeah, we want to knock out the delivery time. It's a big risk because it's a big forward investment to have that much material. Again, 3 books worth of all brand new material.
That's a lot.
Done. But that's where I want to get. Also, that'll take stress off of me from like if somebody fucks up a deadline, I'm not going to be like, oh my god, our book's going to be late because our campaign won't even be launched. So we'll have all 3 books good to go, and then the moment it ends, we'll go to print. We'll take the numbers we got. We'll go to print, and we'll turn it around as quick as we can.
Yeah, I've started producing. I have very good relationship with my writers, and I have a fully written G.I. Jackrabbit script, and I really like what I have. I started an artist on it a couple of months ago, and because it hasn't been. It's not the next book, so it's not my highest priority. So stuff that doesn't have a deadline doesn't get done. That's like a rule in production. So I went back and forth with the artist a few times. He did some character designs that I liked, but he can't execute on the sequential art. So he's got personal problems, whatever it is. So he knows I have to find another artist, and it doesn't always fit sometimes. And then I lost my artist for College of the 3. So I'm like, well, that's why I have this level of comfort producing stuff in advance. And then, I've got the Mermaids is done. We have to do some design and whatnot, but
it's a good spot to be in, is to not have that burden on you by the time you launch.
Right. I mean, it's a hell of a feeling to just be like, all right, all I have to do is, running a campaign ain't so easy either, but producing while you're running a campaign, it takes more time. And then, I don't know. I just for me too, I just want all my books to be the best stuff I've ever done. And some of my books have been phenomenal, and some of my books from decades ago were not good. They were just I had to make the budget and get the books out and go on and try and do the next book. And I never want to produce a book that I'm not in love with how it came out ever again. So yeah, it's the publishing side it's a big deal. And also too, guys, the stakes are really high. We have to make sure you're happy when we ship these books. We can't cut, there's no corners you can cut. That corner you cut, that's
including the quality of the art. So again, guys, if you're on my books, I expect your art to go up. So we all have to be on fire at all times. And so far my team I got right now is good to go.
They're doing it.
But there's people out there that I've considered. I've looked at almost everybody in Comicsgate. And I just whatever, I see him chintzing here and there, and
John's an artist.
Sometimes when I hire him.
Be careful, guys. Be careful, because the thing is guys, it really is like a partnership, and you see how John treats people.
Yeah, well, it's a partnership between the product and the customer. And I'm trying to make sure the customer is getting the best work. So it's very important that when I'm considering an artist, if I'm commissioning for something, don't phone it in, guys. This is easy money because John's got money. Don't worry about it. Well, I won't. I probably won't be using what is another consideration of mine, which is possibly hiring you, which is probably why I've contacted you. So
you got to watch
that in mind at all times.
And this is not John being a taskmaster. This is John. This is just being realistic, guys. This is business talk. This is business stuff. And if friend stuff is different. And if you want to we can make jokes about Cecil getting drunk and stuff like that, or screw around and have laughs, whatever, wear funny hats. That's all fun. That's fun. But when it comes down to business, this is it's life or death stuff. So we take it really serious.
A weak link, hurts my business potentially, with the follow-up campaign. So
it's not even potentially, it's definitely, and the thing too is look, what Ethan too, he's looking at our campaigns. Ethan's been always very supportive of me. I appreciate that. I knew that with College of the Dead graduation day, if that campaign didn't do 25,000 minimum, I just felt like it was bad for Comicsgate because I've gotten a good amount of exposure. And there's reasons and reasons and reasons. But the bottom line is we all have to perform at our highest level because we are a network. We are together. So what I do reflects on everyone else. What John does reflects on everyone else, and so on and so on. Everybody in CG does. And all that means is let's all just do our best because it just makes all of us stronger. And it always takes us to another level. But yeah, this is reality what you're talking. So this is great stuff, John. I really
well, I got a really good team on this book. I'm really happy with the guys, and so hopefully everybody, we all our deadlines are met and this stuff gets done as quickly as possible. I'm just like everyone else, I'm trying to beat the end of the year for taxes. So delays in this book could cost me thousands of dollars in taxes.
So we're not going to let that happen.
So we don't want that to happen. Yeah. So
we're not going to let it happen.
Everything becomes important. But like I said, if this thing ends up in that 250 range, 253, we hit that stretch goal, then I can change gear and I can have everything paid or taken care of on the front end. So I don't have to worry about things like that. And I won't launch a campaign until the work is done. And, that'll take a lot of pressure off as well, because, you have all the material, everything's within your power at that point, to deliver for the customers. So it's a really good spot to be, but it's very risky, which is why, it's 253,000 stretch goal because I have to front pay all of that. It's the only way it can be done. And then if nobody backs it, it's whoop, right out the window.
Well, people will back it.
We want to hold people back too. So
yeah, they will. In case of emergency, always break glass. There's always a way. All right, the entry point. Wow, this is great. So for $25, if people don't have if they can't afford the blood bag, they just want to get 3. They can back volume 3. They get a signed copy of.
These are all coming signed by Mark. The only thing I'm signing is in the creator signature tier.
Oh, cool.
And all the sketches I'll be doing, which is going to be a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So
volume 1 and 2. Do you have these as add-ons as well? Like some?
No, I'm not doing any add-ons, and that's something people should consider as well. For even especially if you're doing your own fulfillment, every add-on is a custom order. So when I did these, I made sure there were no add-ons because we're able to take these all from the box, put one book with another book, for 500 times, get it into a package, get it to the ship station, get all this stuff out. But add-ons, that means that for every tier, you got to find all these people that did all these custom orders, and you got to do it individually.
The add-ons can make you a little crazy.
So that can be a logistics nightmare. So I kept this very clean.
So I did a lot of add-ons on college day, graduation day, and it worked for me. But the thing of it is when I started doing the fulfillment, I was like, all right, wait a minute. So the guy who backed, I thought, of course you think you're a big shot. So people back, College of the Dead, graduation day. And then I send them an email saying, hey, surprise, Narwhal did this extra cover. It wasn't available before. And if you want to add it to your order, it's just $25 and there'll be no extra shipping if you already backed it. Well, I mean, that's fair and it's fine. And it's right. It doesn't actually cost extra money in postage, but there is a logistics issue of like, I got to marry this order to this order to this. It does get complicated. On the fulfillment business, John, are you also saying, listen, that price does not include add-ons or does it?
No, we'll do add-ons. And because Cecil's campaign, which we're doing, it's full of add-ons, I found out. We're going to do it. And right now at this time, we're going to do it. And we're going to see how much of a problem that ends up being. And we're going to adjust for it after that. I really don't think it's going to be too big of a nightmare, but I mean, to a campaign for like Cecil size, that could be an entire another person have to be hired just to sort through all these add-ons per tier. So, and that person will probably have to take, as we're doing tiers, they'll have to take these boxes and they'll have to add in everything individually by themselves, tape it, take it to the ship station and ship it, and then go back and do another one.
There's an aspect
once they're closed, you don't know what's in it. I haven't spent enough time on it, but I've used, software before to do different stuff. And I've done some order processing before. Theoretically, and maybe this is relevant because you have Cecil's campaign coming up, there really should be order processing software that we can get either free or whatever. I mean, ShipStation might even do it, where we can import orders and they can be married up by email address. And then it would create a pick and pack of just like, all right, well, Adam, my email address is adampostmediagroup@gmail.com. So let's say I had 3 different orders, or like, because add-ons, I think they treat it as a separate order, whatever it is. So you import all of it, and then it marries next to your email address everything that you ordered and comprises it in one. Like, all right, here's the invoice. These are the things that Adam's email address ordered, combining multiple orders. That's something that ultimately we'll have to crack the code on. That's not like super high tech internet stuff. That's 1990s level order processing we should be able to do. But if you start getting into that and you want my 2 cents on it, I'm happy to try to help if you guys haven't figured it out. Sure.
Yeah, because when I was doing my add-ons, I was like, oh damn, like because guys, what winds up happening is if you don't do add-ons, then all of your tiers, it's like, all right, well, you pick package A, package B, package C, package D, or package E. Well, how many packages of each of these did I sell? Oh, 100 of these, 150 of those, 300 of those. So then all you can pre-make those packages and then essentially go and then just slap labels on those pre-made packages. It's drastically different. Eric Weathers is fairly slick. He may have a way to combine that kind of stuff. That's maybe worth asking him too. All right, so I'm just going through some tier stuff. Yeah, I love the Blood Bag. Volume 3 signed by Mark. Very cool. Volume 3.
Yeah, I'd probably say the only other tier to really check out, it would be the new shit, which I think is down a little bit. It's 3. I think it's the 3. Yeah, so just the new shit. There it is right there. You down?
Supplemental volume 1 and
down.
2.
Right there.
Just the new SH.
Yeah. $70. So can you scroll up so we can actually see what's
I'm getting there. All right, here we go.
Yeah, so there you go. You get volume 3, you get supplemental volume 2, you get the Graveyard Shift, which is done by Kyung Lee. I don't think I mentioned Kyung yet. So, so that looks great as well. And you get a trading card. So that's everything you need if all you just want is the new shit.
Yeah, because if you backed 1 and you got it, you backed 2 and you got it, you're like, listen, I just want the new shit. What do you got? That's the just the new shit.
Just the new shit. Cool. 74 people claimed it too, so not too bad. Yeah, that was the tier that was added after the fact because several people reached out, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So I did it. So
yeah, some of these things are only obvious until customers tell us what they want. And
sometimes you're too much in the box.
So the blood, because we know what we mean, but other people like they didn't think of that. So what is the Kyung Lee book? How many pages is that? Wow, that's 96 pages.
20 pages.
It's 20 pages. Graveyard Shift Collected. Or I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's 20 pages. It's color.
Yep, it'll be full color. It's full. It was an ash can, but we already hit a stretch goal. It'll be full comic book size now. And so it's a story by Mark and his son Chase. And we did Little Graveyard Shift before, a different story with Nerd Wonder. I think our first campaign.
I know who she is.
Yeah, so we're picking this up. We're doing another one, and there's been talk about maybe doing a Little Graveyard Shift story that is like a full-on story by itself as well. That would be a story that you could read to kids, grandkids during Halloween. So if you're going to read them a little spooky story, it's not going to be scary, but they are kind of like vampires and whatever. So
is the interior of this it's like this style of a cover?
Yeah, that's Kyung on the cover there too. Yeah.
And Kyung does like a manga.
Well, Kyung he can do like really full on drawing, like Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb work. But he also has the this little chibi kind of style. And so that's what he's doing here.
I don't know if you know how huge obviously manga is.
Sure.
I've been doing these videos on I did some videos on Scholastic. Freaking, do you know how big Dogman is? Which is from the Captain Underpants guy. That's not manga, but it's just cartoony. So
I've heard something about it.
Yeah. So Dogman is by Dave Pickley. He's the guy that did Captain Underpants. Dogman is, first of all, Scholastic has 40% of the book trade market. Marvel has like 10%. DC has 10%. Scholastic has 40%. They're much bigger. And 16% of the entire book market is freaking Dogman. And he's just this cartoony, superhero-y kind of character. It does look very cute. It's obviously kid-friendly. But I'm seeing like your kid version of Graveyard Shift. And like, so Scholastic does buy stuff from other publishers as well. And, they say yes or no. And if they say yes, then they give you money. And if they say no, they say no. But that's another thing, like with CG. I mean, like, so we can have different tones of content. So not everything is going to be the same tone. Or, Ethan, I guess, is going to do a children's
the main book of Graveyard Shift is not meant for little kids. But the Little Graveyard Shift is just fine. You can hand that off to them.
That's cool as hell. Like, why not do that?
It's like a candy store adventure. This one is like a fishing adventures.
So if this is like if you did a separate Little Graveyard Shift campaign, even you would expect it to not do as big as a regular
Graveyard
Shift campaign.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I think probably primarily we're people buying Comicsgate products, or you're buying them for yourself and for collectability. It's it's for us. You know, it's not for somebody else necessarily, but you know, people got kids, they got grandkids, and it might do well. It might do well.
But also, we read the young age.
It doesn't matter. I'm not. If I did it, it's not going to be something that I'm like, man, I hope this better hit 6 figures. You know?
Right. That's my attitude too. I'm like, I'm so excited. Like, I started the Mermaids thing. I started that before I started College of the Dead. I first started publishing it. Like, I published like 4 pages of the Mermaids is a 48-page book. I published 4 pages of it, if that many, 4 pages of it as a web comic, and then it just didn't. It wasn't clicking. I'm like, all right, this isn't going to happen. I thought I could make it happen that way. But that was all the way going back originally to 2013. And then we just continued on it. But it's been, I've had the material done for a few years now. And being able to publish the stuff that you're just passionate about doing, it's kind of funny because it's very personal, right? Publishing your ideas. Mm-hmm. So it's different than stuff that's completely just commercial. You know, so it's funny to hear us talk about our projects sometimes, like, why are you doing like this project? Like, well, I'm really passionate about this thing. Well, so, but why this instead of something else or whatever? It's like, well, I don't know. We do want, I don't know, I only speak for myself as to say, like, I do want to do books that make the most money possible. But to me, like, I started thinking about Mermaids in the late 90s, and I was going to do like a teen mermaid project that was going to be like Splash, but updated. As a mermaid, like, so sort of like that. And I actually worked on it with a writer, and then Jim Shooter did a treatment of a graphic novel for me for it. Like, I was really kind of getting very into it. And then I was like, we kind of went into, I got excited about another idea and started on another project. And then eventually when I saw Game of Thrones, it kind of came back to me as like, holy cow, I could do like Mermaids, but do Game of Thrones. So it just kind of comes together. It's such a privilege to be able to make these books. So I don't know. You just do what you're passionate about.
Yeah. You know, look, I mean, I'm trying to do commercial stuff for sure. The Little Graveyard Shift, it could hit.
I think it's commercial. But the funny thing, Dogman, I forget the name of the book, but his new book, they just sold like 1 million of those, like for 1 year, for one book. He's got a line of 8 books. There's a video I did talking about the numbers. Comics Beat did a nice piece on it. But like, Dogman is 16% of the entire book trade, which is ridiculous. But they did something like, I don't know, 40 or 50 $million worth of sales retail in the book market of just Dogman last year. So it's a monster's monster. It's absolutely ridiculous. And My Hero Academia is very big. They did like 100,000 of their $10 price point of just book 1 from 2015. That was like number 20 on the top 20 books. But My Hero Academia is its own phenomenon, of course. But there's plenty of other stuff that's done damn well. But to think like that's just like reprints from 2015 in just that market, in just that language. And it's realistically only about 85% of that market. It also doesn't include the direct market, doesn't include digital, whatever other stuff they're doing. It's a huge market. It's a huge business. I'm excited for Ethan's children's book version of Cyberfrog when he puts that out, because it's just a different dimension. I don't know. I think it's great that, you know, people could look at our material in Comicsgate and see that this is real diverse. Like, we really do actually have different types of books and different kinds of, you know, visions coming from different people and different creative teams. So I think it's very cool. I mean, like, I wasn't expecting Shane Davis was going to do Starlight Cats, or, you know, who he does Batman. Where is this coming from? But when he starts talking about it, you see, like, this is something he's been wanting to do for years. So if you like Shane, you're going to get a hell of a lot of Shane Davis when you buy that, when you back that book.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah. A lot of good variety of content. 100%.
Yeah. And then look, obviously, whatever takes off, like Graveyard Shift has taken off. If Graveyard Shift took off, there's going to be a lot more Graveyard Shift to come. And
yeah, I mean, look, I'm pretty happy where I'm at. So, you know, like,
yeah,
you know, all the other stuff that could come from, you know, doing this is fine and dandy. But, you know, right now for me, focusing on doing, you know, the next crowdfund is really the only thing on my mind.
Yes,
you know, I feel like, you know, Comicsgate wants books. I want to make books.
It's a great marriage.
That's all I want to do is just make comics. So, you know, and I've said many times, you know, I would always be perfectly happy, even just if I was in like an editorial position. And now I kind of am. So, you know, this is where I want to be right now, you know, being able to hire people and tell good stories and make great art and spread the love of comic books. So
yeah, when the teamwork works too, when that collaboration works, it's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and you know, the opportunity to get artists and writers some notice and pay, you know, that makes me feel pretty good too. And so we're gonna do what we can with Graveyard Shift here. It's on a really great track, and then hopefully we can do, you know, this eventually with Project Thundar. I don't know if it'll be in the first campaign. You know, maybe by the second campaign, maybe we get it up to Graveyard Shift level. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh yeah. The numbers are going to be there. You've been talking about it for a while. People are really curious. They want to sign up for is the mailing list out for that yet? I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
No. Right now it's Graveyard Shift. So
okay. We're all focused on Graveyard Shift. When this one's done, we'll talk about the next one.
Yeah. So
see, we could all learn focus from John a little bit. John,
yeah, but I am getting excited. I mean, because I am, you know, doing a lot of thought and, you know, figuring what I'm going to do. I think I got it on lockdown where I'm headed with it now. So pretty happy with that as well. Project Thunder is going to be a big project. And
yeah, you're bringing a heavy skill set to this, so you completely know what you can do from the blank page to the finished editorial. Your teams, you have relationships with creative people. I was explaining this to another CGer about how I care about the money. I want to make a lot of money. The money takes care of itself, though. When you deliver for customers, you're consistent. You do sequels, and the numbers are growing. And then you have these relationships with these creative teams of people that you know you can count on. Because, like, there's a superhero that I really want to get working on ASAP, and I did not know that my writer for College of the Dead was capable of writing exactly who I wanted to write, but he wrote a character so perfectly well. He executed just exactly what I wanted with almost no touching on it. Like we just know each other well, that I'm like, oh my God, he'd be so perfect for writing this. And I thought I would have to collaborate with someone else on it. But you know that feeling when a character is written and then you want to meet that person. You're like, it really feels like it's a person. That's like, this is, it was just, I'm just like, well, I'm really happy with prior work, but it just resonated so perfectly well. But that's our process. So it's a privilege for us to be able to work on these comics. Guys, I hope you support Graveyard Shift 3 and let your friends know about it. And, you know, it's a support just to share the campaign. It really helps. Every share helps. Every, retweet helps. Every like helps. Making a comment about it. If you think of something clever to say, don't be shy. You know, just put something funny. It was one of the things I did promoting the Diaz brothers. What the heck was that book? The Miami Vice one. I forget what.
Oh, Magic Cop.
Magic Cop. For some reason, they inspired me to say cute things. So I just would think of something funny to say almost every time. And then it was kind of a challenge to always say something cool about Magic Cop. I'd like all those little extra supports. It's a huge help. F Google says Adam is trying to systemize CG as a process. Well, you know, the thing is when you can demystify, the secrets, when you can just get rid of some of the unknowns, the worry goes out the effing window. Like there's nothing to worry about when you know what you can expect. And then when you have that experience base on taking care of customers, getting your books printed, getting the fulfillment done, knowing which creators you can work with, it does become very exciting because you just keep building momentum and the potential is kind of unlimited. But it's also like there's nothing like CG because there's so much direct interaction with the consumers. And you get so much feedback that way. The feeling, like I've never had a feeling like, look, one of the cool things in publishing comics back in the day was the printer would overnight us the samples after they were shipped out to everybody. And then, so you get a box and it'd be like the overnight books and be like, all right, the books come in overnight from the printer. There's a box and there's like 5 copies of each, whatever. And you look at them and be like, oh, cool. Yeah, this book's came out. That was fun. Nothing compared to 100 times better when you guys get books and then you take a picture of them and you're like, hey, I just got my book, and you at me on Twitter, you add us on Twitter and stuff. It's so cool. I mean, foreign countries, yes, that's cool too. But even like domestically down the street or whatever.
Those I do get excited.
Oh, it's so cool.
When it's the international and they're like, hey man, it got here mint condition. I'm like, fucking cool. I'm like,
yeah. It's like, damn, we got that one.
It's a long ways to go. And when they show up and they're like, yeah, everything's here in one piece, man. They're like, that's really good.
I had a problem sending a book to Tungsten, whatever. And the first time around, he was another person that like through my printer, the drop ship, whatever. I was lucky that he was so cool about it. He just was privately about it. It was like, Adam, you know what? It came damaged or whatever. And he sent me a picture. I'm like, oh, I'm really so sorry. And then I sent him replacement copies that I packed myself, perfect condition. And then they went all the way to his country. And then he didn't pick them up or something because there was communication with his post office or whatever it was. They sent them all the way back to me. So he's like, listen, he was just so cool about it. And I was like, look, it's my fault. And then I just resent them or whatever it was. And it's just like, just the ability to have this direct contact with people that care about you making the books and appreciate how hard it is to sometimes get them the books when it's in a foreign country, but really just like the pictures are amazing, guys. So when you're sending those pictures out, you're making us real happy. We really appreciate those. And the truth is, it's great promotion too. People are able to see the book for the first time and like, oh, I didn't realize that book was in print. I wish it was still available. Like, well, some of ours are in demand. I usually keep mine in demand. John doesn't keep his in demand, but most people usually do. And then if you miss John's, then you have to get it on the next one. It's just that all that more motivation to just be.
Yeah. And I might even shrink it down at some point to where I'm only doing 30-day campaigns. So,
oh, John, please don't do that.
Well, I think, a big part of what I do is, that's why I shut them down. It's so excitement can build and,
yeah, you're right.
Like it's only available for this short window during a year. So if I got it down to 30 days, I might be able to get, the same amount of people in 60 days at some point here. Well, if I'm breaking $200,000 in a 30-day campaign, that's a pretty good haul.
First of all, Scott McCullough, who just had the huge success with Peregrine. Congratulations, Scott. You know what? So if you look at your numbers, so I'm just looking at my numbers. We did like 16,000 on college day, graduation day in the first 30 days. And then we did another 9,000 in the second 30 days. So we definitely did more during the first 30. There's more excitement in the first 30 because people do get tired of seeing campaigns. I get tired of seeing some of my own campaign stuff. I'm like, oh, that tweet again? Like I've seen it like a million times. But when it's new, there is more excitement to it. There's more activity to the campaign. But at the same time, as much as, you want to create that sense of urgency for people to buy and back and support the campaign, there are people that legitimately like life gets in the way. So it's like, in terms of being able to get into that window. So it does feel like 60 days is a good natural, period of time, to give people a shot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can get a shot in 30 days though, too, So, I mean, this is something we're not going to be doing it immediately, but it is something I am planning to do at some point.
Well, guys, you got to back early. Well, that's also too, look, you get now that you have the mailing list, you're getting some advance notice. John, do you usually use the mailing list prior to when you notify people, hey, the campaign's launched? So if someone signs up on one of your mailing lists,
I didn't use the mailing list until the day we launched. So I downloaded it that day, figured out how to get it into MailChimp, and off it went. So.
Antoine Dennison asked a good question about international shipping. You've heard so many nightmares about foreign orders. You're wondering if it's really worth the effort. The nightmares, like what we were talking about, Antoine, it's the unknowns that are the issue. The things where it's like, what is it going to cost to ship? I hope it's not too much. My book is a half an inch too big so it won't ship in a standard mailer. So now it's going to cost more money. That's the great thing about what John is doing with fulfillment. So what you want to do is take a look at the link in the description, whether you work with John or not. He's got great information there about what size will fit in Gemini mailers and the weight of what things will cost international. So you ought to go by those numbers. If you work with John on fulfillment, great. If not, at least like some of that has some labor built into it. Honestly, I don't really see profit margin in what John is doing just yet, but he'll work that out. But those are the numbers you can kind of count on, that if you do those numbers and those weights and those sizes and dimensions, you got it covered. If you go bigger than those sizes, and if you want to play with lower prices on shipping, you're running a lot of risk. And honestly, it's completely unnecessary risk. If your shipping is $8 instead of $10, you're not going to sell one extra book. People understand, especially within CG, it costs money for us to put these things in boxes and get them out to people in perfect condition. It just does cost money. So that's why these have become kind of the standardized rates. But no joke on those sizes, and don't make guesstimates. Seriously, it does cost money to get these books printed and to get them delivered correctly to where they need to be. And you just want to make sure you cover your numbers. Guys, I appreciate you joining in. John, it's a pleasure to stream with you, man. I hope we can stream again together soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you have time available. I'm going to be having Mandy next week. Mandy, I think it's great that you have been helping Mandy with her show, and she's been helping so many people in CG. Just like really out there, just promoting CG, doing the shows on a regular basis. Guys, it really is difficult. We do have a lot of fun doing these.
Well, Mandy helped me out when my channel went down. That's how that whole thing got started.
Oh, that's so cool.
So, yeah, I remember she offered me a regular spot on her show, and I was like, as long as it's not, I'm like, as long as it's every other week, I could do it. So
yeah, you can afford the time. Yeah, well, hey, the same offer, and I would always make to you to always be available for anything we can do. That's the thing, guys, is like when you help somebody else in CG, everyone else in CG, we notice whether we say something or not. And that person gets a lot of respect and appreciation, because we all know how hard it is to do this stuff. All right, guys, back Graveyard Shift 3. It's the right thing to do. You're really helping build CG when you do it, but it's a great looking book. John always delivers. You can also check out epicmermaids.com. The Mermaids, a 48-page full color. I always say my videos. It's going to be like an epic mermaid fantasy. We have a huge amount of work went into developing the Mermaids. I just went nuts with it. I'm going to do just like a single character book. I'm going to try that. Like after the Mermaids, it'll have to be like my next thing is one character, because I always wind up doing this massive cast of characters, because it's like it's awesome to be able to do that, but it's an incredible amount of work. But that already is done for the Mermaids, so it is what it is. It's there. epicmermaids.com. Make sure you sign up to get on the John Malin list, so to speak, the Malin list. And College of the Dead still available. If you haven't backed it, definitely check it out, collegeofdead.com. And be sure to subscribe to the channel. It's a huge help to me. Click the bell for notifications. And any comments below or any questions, go ahead and really look into John's fulfillment. His document's educational. It's in the description. You'll learn stuff from it. And this is a great time to find out more information about getting campaigns done.
Yeah, it's also pinned to my Twitter. So if you guys are interested, you can find it right at the top of my Twitter account.
Yeah,
it'll be there for a while.
And guys, it's called Secret Door, but it's not a secret. You can share it around with people. You have friends that are interested in making comics, crowdfunding and whatnot. There's a lot of good information in that. And that's one of the things that, we can do for other people is if you know something that somebody wants to know a little more about, let them know. I also have a playlist, Secrets of the Comicsgate Network, which talks about some stuff I've learned from Comicsgate and my other publishing experience. It's about 40 videos. I did a lot of videos, and eventually I'll add more to it. But for now, it's a good collection of information. All right, guys, I could talk with you guys and John all night, but I don't want to keep John all night. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you, John. Thanks so much for coming on. Congratulations.
My pleasure, yeah.
On Graveyard Shift 3.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone in the chat, guys. Appreciate all you guys for getting in there and backing that. If you haven't, please consider Yeah, I benefit from it, but so do multiple writers and artists in the long run here. So a lot of jobs.
This is a third book. This is a third, like this is a sequel. This is fantastic for Comicsgate that we're getting out like book 3 of a series. It just shows you how we're growing and building.
Yeah.
And like Pastor Nam says, don't do drugs. All right. It's a good message, Dan. It's a good message. All right. Have a great night, everybody. We appreciate you.
Bye.